My PhD dissertation was 217 pages. Pure text, 115. Just because my advisor wanted me to write all sorts of irrelevant stuff, but when you're a PhD student, your advisor is your owner, literally. People ask me, how do you feel after I successfully defended my dissertation and earned the PhD? I said, I feel like I don't have a husband anymore. I'm serious. You know, it's like marriage, but you have no say. You know, if I was female, I would have said wife. Same issue. And so that's about it. But sometimes you're gonna ask, well, are all the things in current assets are really that liquid? If you want to be a little bit conservative, because not all current assets are created equal. Cash is a lot more liquid than accounts receivable, which in turn is a lot more liquid than inventory. So the first thing that goes, you know, the weakest link, let's not count inventory as liquid asset. This leads to something called quick ratio. And the name comes from, these are stuff that I can quickly get into cash. It is sometimes also known as the acid test. It's simple. CA minus inventory plus CL. Of course, in my world, inventory and inventory are the same thing. This is another linguistic issue. In a lot of languages, the stuff that's written as N is actually pronounced as an M. In Japanese, the word for newspaper is shimbun. There's no single M sound in Japanese. There is only single consonant N. It is actually spelled as shi, that's one syllable, M, bu, M. But it's pronounced shimbun, not shinbun. Did I tell you that I'm going to do a PhD in linguistics after my younger son graduates college? 2.5 years. That was always been my love. I started college as an English lit and language major. I quickly realized that I wasn't going to eat all of those majors. And I became an economist and, you know, did a PhD in finance. Finance is a sub-discipline of economics, but don't ever tell that to finance professors. If you really want to be that conservative, do the cash ratio, which is cash, and I'm going to say, and cash like, the whole thing divided by, let me see, current liabilities. Remember, when you say cash, we're just talking about the real cash, the greenbacks, and the money you have in banks that you could withdraw anytime. Plus, when I say cash-like, it's more like short-term investments. If you own $10 billion in treasury bills, it will take you longer to think about whether or not you should sell it than actually sell it. I mean, it's just a single order. It's executed pretty much immediately. And that's the extent of short-term, what you want to call solvency measures. We're a little bit more interested in long-term solvency measures. Again, the audience for this is not only the long-term creditors, because if a firm has a lot of long-term debt, obviously as a long-term creditor, that is my concern. I may think, are they going to be able to pay it back? But this is also quite important for shareholders because the higher is debt load of the firm after a point, it creates financial distress. Let's look at two companies. Let me see. One of them is American Airlines. Financials. These guys actually have negative equity, but that's neither here nor there. Let's look at the quarterly balance sheet. All right. Let's look at their long-term debt. Oh, total debt, but I want to look especially to long-term debt. They have $49 billion worth of long-term debt. They also have $21 billion worth of current liabilities. Their net equity is probably negative, I think. Yeah. But let's not worry about that much. Just it's because of minority interest that are issues. That's $70 billion. They have $70 billion in total liabilities. The total assets on their book value is worth $64 billion. So this company has a lot of debt, right? If somehow the economy turned negative over the next year, it wouldn't take that much for this company to go bankrupt. They're living, at the brink of bankruptcy. Or they like the legendary Icarus, they're just getting too close to the sun. If you get too close, you know what's going to happen. What's the wings of Icarus are made of? Wax. It's going to melt. And it's going to go all the way down because he no longer has wings. On the other hand, let's look at one of their direct competitors, not SUV, LUV. They let the companies choose their tickers if it's available. So Southwest thinks that they're a lovely airline. I've never flown with them, so I have no idea. They never fly to places that I'm flying, at least cheaply. And let's look at their financials. Balance sheet and quarterly. These guys have total assets of $35 billion. Their total liabilities is 24, of which 14 is long-term debt. Okay, so they actually owe less than their. Compared to their equity, they owe about 2.5 times. For a company like this, 2.5 times that equity is not that big of an issue. But if the economy crashed next year, who do you think is going to go bankrupt first? Southwest or American Airlines? That's a rhetorical question. You know the answer. It's American Airlines. The airline business depends upon your ability to finance your operations. Now, if I'm a bank, I look at American Airlines balance sheet. They already owe more than they owe. Okay? But even if it wasn't negative, their debt equity typically used to be around 5-6. All that negative is a holdover from the losses they took during the COVID years. Otherwise, it would never move. And some of that is just accounting related. That's going to be taken care of. Either way, as a bank, I'm not going to fund those. Why do you think government had to fund airlines? I mean, they probably didn't have to fund Southwest. But if government had not funded airlines during the COVID crisis, the only airline that was still standing would have been Southwest, period, because of high, debt margin. That is good as long as you make more with the money you borrow than it costs you to borrow that money. Let's say you bought a stock, you can buy stocks on margin. You have $100, and you let Robinhood or Fidelity, whichever one you're using, lend you another $100. You borrow $200 worth of stuff, and the stock goes up by 20%. So your 200 went up to 20% of that, 240. You pay back 100, you are left with 140. I'm not worrying about interest at this point. And you make 40% on your investment. Right? But what if stock went down by 20%? Your 200 will go down to 160. You pay back 100, you got $60 left. So you lost 40% of your money.